This Baldur's Gate 3 series covers how to do all major quests and missable content in order so that all achievements or trophies, choices, and major rewards will be available. We will be striving to get the most optimal or good outcomes for all companions, recruit the most allies, obtain all legendary weapons and armor, and have an overall satisfying playthrough. For best results, this series should be followed from the start of Part 1. Spoilers will be limited to important information, and as usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. When last we left off, we were just about to enter the Druid Grove. A short distance in, we'll find Zevlor, a tiefling, arguing with a human mercenary by the name of Aradin. Personally, I used persuasion to peacefully resolve the conflict, but whatever you choose to do, try and stay on the tiefling's good side. Resolving the conflict peacefully will gain us approval from both Shadowheart and Gale. After that, we'll head up and around the southwest bend to the gate lookout. Here we'll find Arka grieving over a fallen ally. Don't worry, as this is one tiefling that cannot be saved, so him dying won't stop us from getting the No One Left Behind achievement. Saying you need to avenge this, spill some goblin blood will get us approval points with both Shadowheart and Lae'zel. Next, we'll head further east to the Grove's high point. Here, we'll need to save a tiefling, Nadira, from a bugbear assassin. Given that it's only one enemy, I am personally conserving spell slots and other resources for this fight. After defeating the bugbear, we can speak with Nadira and trick her into giving us another soul coin, which will also give us more approval with Shadowheart. At this point, we should be able to gain our 3rd level on most if not all characters. I'll be taking Thunderwave on my sorcerer as it's a very useful 1st level spell, and it will help us get an achievement pretty easily later on. I'll also be taking Quicken spell as my 3rd meta magic option. Full spellcasters such as sorcerers, wizards, and clerics gain the ability to cast level 2 spells at level 3. They also gain 2 level 2 spell slots, and this is a good time to explain how leveled spells work. Leveled spells require a spell slot to cast. A level 2 spell can only be cast with a level 2 spell slot or higher. A level 1 spell, on the other hand, can be cast with a level 1 spell slot or higher. If you cast a spell using a higher level spell slot, it will often have additional or augmented effects. For example, when we cast Magic Missile, a level 1 spell, using a level 2 spell slot, it will fire off an additional missile, for a total of 4. That being said, some spells do not grant additional benefits when cast at a higher level, a prime example being Mage Armor. With that covered, let's get back on topic. Fighters gain their subclass at level 3, and Battlemaster is, in my opinion, the strongest of the 3. It gives the fighter access to maneuvers which can have all sorts of special effects. The maneuvers I personally like to start off with are Distracting Strike, Precision Attack, and Pushing Attack. That being said, you're free to look through the options and choose whichever ones you like best. For the Cleric, level 3 gives access to new spells and spell slots to cast them with. Finally, Gale will get to learn 2 more spells, and I'm going to take and prepare both Misty Step and Shatter, but again, I don't think either of these are must-haves. We can short rest here if needed, then head north deeper into the Grove. A short distance in, we'll find Aaron the trader, and we can sell our valuables to him. A higher charisma will get you better prices on purchases and more money for wares that you're selling. When it comes to selling, any junk, jewels, and common weapons and armor can go. We will hang on to magic items such as the Watcher's Guide, as well as any soul coins, infernal iron, and elixirs. Also, there is an easy way to accumulate wealth and magic items, but it's definitely gaming the system. First, save the game before trying this. Then, what we'll need to do is toggle on non-lethal attacks in the Passives tab. Then, for best results, sneak attack the merchant we want to get loot off of with a character that we aren't using to interact and buy stuff with. In this case, we'll attack Aaron with Gale from hiding. At that point, whittle the merchant's health down until they are knocked out. Just make sure to exclusively use melee attacks once the merchant is at low health, as ranged attacks and spells will kill even if non-lethal is toggled on. Once the merchant has been knocked out, you can hide and loot back all the items you sold the merchant, plus any unique magic items the merchant had for sale. Note that this cannot be done with all merchants, at least not without incurring backlash from nearby guards, but I'll be sure to point out any merchants that this can be done with, and don't worry, so long as the merchant isn't killed, they will wake back up after the next long rest, and will only be mad at the first character that attacked them. Personally, I'll be taking just the magic items to equip my characters and sending the remaining valuables back to camp. We can always go grab it from the camp stash whenever we need stuff to sell. Moving northwest, we can find and speak with Zevlor in the hideout beyond the stone door. He will task us to both find and speak with Kagha on behalf of the Tiefling refugees. Right outside of the hideout, we can speak with Aradin and learn about an artifact called the Night Song. This will start a quest called Find a Night Song. Up the ladder and to the east, a man named Barth will be threatening Meli, a child tiefling that stole his amulet. To make everyone happy, we first need to say, "You better do what he says, boy," then succeed on a very easy persuasion check. And finally, we'll say, "I want an answer, why'd you steal it?" This will result in Meli coming clean, and also have Barth willingly give Meli the amulet out of charity. We can also find Auntie Ethel nearby, and we don't want to attack her at all, as she has an important quest which will come up later. Also, telling her about our tadpole condition will result in disapproval from Shadowheart. That all being said, we definitely want to browse her shop. She should have 3 elixirs of Hill Giant Strength for sale, and these are replenished after each long rest. They are totally worth the gold and greatly enhance the combat effectiveness of strength-based characters, such as Lae'zel. They also last the entire adventuring day. Throughout Act 1, we will want to return to Auntie Ethel to get these 3 elixirs after every long rest, and use them on our martial characters as part of our morning preparations. The final important character down in this area is Dammon the blacksmith, and we also want to leave him unharmed. We can ask him about both his craft and his wares, but that's about all for now. To the northwest is a prison, but it's best if we avoid going there for now. Instead, find and speak with Zorru nearby. Lae'zel will want to interrogate him, and it's up to us on how much we choose to moderate Lae'zel's behavior. Lae'zel will disapprove of us stepping in, but Shadowheart will approve. The opposite is true if you allow Lae'zel to take charge or back her up. If we sneak and break into the storage room behind Zorru, we will find another tiefling by the name of Pandirna. If we're willing to use a 2nd level spell, we can actually cure Pandirna's paralysis by casting Lesser Restoration on her with Shadowheart, but this is not necessary. There is some loot to be found in this room, but it's totally optional and we won't lose any achievements if we avoid it. Up to the west, we'll find another recruitable companion, Wyll the Warlock. To avoid Gale's disapproval, we can choose the "I'm looking to cure this infection, I suggest we partner up" dialogue option. I have no need for a warlock at this time, so I'm going to tell Wyll to wait back at camp. We can also speak with Asharak and tell a story to the children, though again, this is totally optional. Now, I have an important warning here. You may notice the strange ox. Feel free to investigate it, just don't attack or kill it, as this can seriously bug out a companion questline. We will definitely want to go speak with Rolan and his siblings to the south and convince them to stay and fight, as this is a critical step to getting the "No One Left Behind" achievement. Moving deeper into the grove, be wary of the boy to the east named Mattis. Most of the supposed magic items he sells are fake and have no effect whatsoever. In addition, while browsing his wares, a tiefling child will try to pickpocket you and run away. Personally, I think it's best to just avoid the encounter altogether, but if you are in the mood for some shenanigans, then go for it. Just try not to make an enemy of the tieflings in the process. We'll move on south towards the heart of the grove, where an altercation between the tieflings and druids takes place. After the exchange, we can speak with Locke and Chimera and agree to rescue their child, Arabella. This will get us some approval with Gale. The druids will let us by easily enough, at which point we can make our way west to the sanctuary of the grove. It probably goes without saying, but stealing the idol of Sylvanas from the center of the grove will have negative consequences, and so we will not be doing that. Lae'zel is going to disapprove of our actions here, so consider leaving her outside for the initial confrontation. Within the sanctuary, we will need to convince Kagha to spare Arabella and let her go free. I suggest saving before any skill checks, as failing badly enough will result in Arabella's death, which again would disqualify us from the No One Left Behind achievement. Saving Arabella will gain approval from both Gale and Shadowheart, and disapproval from Lae'zel if she is present. That being said, we can bring Lae'zel back in after Arabella is safe, then speak with Kagha. Picking the "you're protecting your own, sometimes cruelty is required" option will earn us some approval from both Lae'zel and Shadowheart, though probably for different reasons. Kagha will then give us an ultimatum to lead the tieflings out of the grove, to which we can non-committally reply, "Then it seems I'd best speak to Zevlor." At this point, we can speak with Shadowheart about one, possibly two things. First, if she gets frightened by the wolves in the grove, we can talk to her and say I'll try to avoid wolves in the future where possible to earn some approval. In addition, we can ask her about a mysterious wound that plagues her. Also, once Shadowheart's approval goes above 40 points, high approval, we can initiate a romance with her if we want, and this is a good place to explain romance in Baldur's Gate 3. Most companions are easy to romance once approval is high enough, but we'll need to be careful. Only so many romances can be maintained in Act 1, and to the best of my knowledge the limit is 2. In addition, pursuing certain romances will immediately close off other specific romances. The most relevant example is that romancing Shadowheart, and possibly any other companion besides Lae'zel, will close off the option of romancing Lae'zel. In addition, only one romance can be maintained beyond Act 2, so one romance will need to be chosen well before the end of the game. I can't say who has the best romance, but I will say that the only companion we need to romance for an achievement is Karlach, who we haven't recruited yet, but we'll get there soon enough. In any case, because of that reason, I will be romancing Karlach in the long term for this guide series. Fortunately, initiating a romance with Shadowheart here will not close off the option to romance Karlach. That being said, there is a point later in Act 1 where you can initiate a romance with any companion you are on good terms with. If we want to have as many options as possible there and then, we should not initiate a romance with Shadowheart or any other companions through normal dialogue. Hopefully that was a sufficient explanation on romance, but you can always reach out to me in the comments if you have specific questions. Moving on, at this point Gale will probably have a new conversation where we can earn some approval. The options we want to pick when they come up are, "That's very gratifying to hear," and "I'd be happy to help." Next, we'll head northwest into the servants' quarters. In the west corner behind the bookshelf is Kagha's chest. It can be unlocked with just a 10 DC lockpick check, and inside we'll find a note and a book. Reading these will give us a lead on where to find evidence that will expose Kagha's shady dealings. For now, we will bide our time and move northeast to the Druid's chambers. Here, we can speak with Nettie the healer. Honesty here is the best option. After explaining the situation, Nettie will bring us to the back room for further assessment. In the conversation that follows, eventually saying "I swear" to Nettie will earn us some approval with Lae'zel and Shadowheart. Following this, we can agree to find Halsin the Druid, then return back outside. To the south, we can get Tuffet the Bear to move off the lift with a successful animal handling check. This will allow the lift to operate normally. Moving northeast, we can meet Volo the Bard, and he will eventually inform us of his intent to visit the Goblin camp. Moving down a new path to the northeast, we can go down the southern branch first to find Alfira, another bard. And it's a good idea for us to save here because this is an opportunity to gain free proficiency in playing an instrument, which will make getting the Busker achievement a lot easier. To get this proficiency, we want to say "let me see if I can help" when it comes up as a dialogue choice. Then say "hand me that lute, we can perform together." 2 performance checks will follow, and passing these checks will earn you both the lute and the ability to play it, along with some approval from Gale. We can then equip the lute and play it anywhere. When played in populated areas, nearby NPCs will crowd around. If we succeed in the performance check, then one or more of the NPCs will each toss us a coin once we stop playing. Earning 100 gold this way will get us the Busker achievement, and this is most easily done later in the game during Act 3, but feel free to start working towards it now. Next, we'll head northeast towards the beach, and it's a good idea for us to save here. A tiefling boy by the name of Murkon is standing near the water, and a pretty rough encounter is coming up, so we may want to position 1 or 2 companions up at the vantage point to the south. I'm also going to have Shadowheart cast Bless on multiple allies, including Murkon. When we speak with Murkon, we can avoid the trap by saying "you shouldn't be standing out in the water, it's dangerous," then "I don't hear anything, come back to shore." And this will lead directly into a combat encounter. Like I said before, this encounter is a tough one, so using leveled spells and resources is completely reasonable and probably necessary to save Murkon. For this fight, it is crucial that we interrupt any harpies singing their luring song, as it can cause us, our companions, and even Murkon to involuntarily move towards the harpies and be otherwise incapacitated. Magic Missile is a great option to interrupt a harpy's singing because it has a chance to disrupt the singing with each of the missiles that hit. Something else to watch out for is any harpy that blocks Murkon's escape route. To prevent them from striking Murkon as he runs by, they will either need to be defeated or have their reaction spent. This can be accomplished by having a character run in and back out of melee range. That will result in the harpy using its attack of opportunity on one of our characters, rather than Murkon. As a reminder, we need to save Murkon in order to get the No One Left Behind achievement. After the fight, we can speak with Murkon, and if we're nice, he will tell us how we can find another tiefling child named Mole. Gale will also have something to say about the encounter. We can explore and loot the beach area if we want, then head back to Arabella's parents in the Grove. Speaking with them will be rewarded with Kumir's locket. Up to the west, we can find Donnie. Speaking the passphrase to Donnie will get him to reveal a concealed hatch. Inside, we can find Mole. She is willing to trade, and we can even invest in her up-and-coming business. However, we should also avoid getting involved in her plot to steal the idol of Sylvanas from the Druids. With that done, we just have one more task to handle at the makeshift prison before leaving the Grove. Before going there, we'll want to consider ungrouping Lae'zel from the party and leaving her behind a few paces, as she will disapprove of what we are about to do. In one of the prison cages, we will find Sazza the Goblin, and we must save her to get the She Cannot Be Caged achievement. To do that, we will step between the crossbow and the goblin. We will then need to talk Arka out of the revenge killing, and this will gain approval from both Gale and Shadowheart. Before calling Lae'zel back, we will speak with Sazza and agree to help her escape. Then pick the lock, speak with Sazza again, and tell her to follow us. At this point, we can group the party back up and jump to a secluded area just east of the prison cages. Here, we'll find the entrance to an underground escape route. Before doing anything, we will need to deactivate the bear statue guarding the path. To that end, we can take control of a character that Sazza is not following, split off from the group, and hide. Then, we'll sneak over to and interact with the rune of the bear when the goblins are not looking that way. These goblins will attack us even if Sazza is with us, so at this point, we can just attack them from hiding to get surprise. Overall, this encounter is not difficult. Afterwards, we can use a healing spell or throw a healing potion directly on the unconscious Findle to revive him. Just know that if Sazza is within view, we will need to convince him to look the other way. Up to the southeast, there is a rune of the eagle that we will want to deactivate. There are also a few oil barrels that we can pick up and send back to camp for later use. We will want to do this before trying to lockpick or disarm the trapped chest nearby. Within the chest is another magic item, the Nature's Snare Staff. There are also useful items in the other containers nearby. From here, we'll head to the southern exit, which will lead us outside of the Druid Grove. After exiting, Sazza will plan to meet up with us later near the Goblin camp before leaving our company for the time being. Next, we'll jump up to the rocky hillside towards the south, then head towards the highest point. Upon approaching the campfire, we should meet a new character by the name of Raphael. If he doesn't show up, make sure all party members are present, then try again. Look for and choose the dialogue choice that starts with "You're mad if," as this will gain us approval with both Lae'zel and Shadowheart. After the encounter, we can speak with our companions about Raphael. With Shadowheart, if we say he's a devil, we shouldn't trust him, simple as that. And then, I'm not going to just change my mind, we can't trust Raphael, Shadowheart will approve. With Gale, we can gain some approval by asking, "And how do you propose we beat a devil at his own game?" when the option comes up. With Astarion, we can say, "We'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it," then, "We're not his playthings," we'll show him that to gain some approval. With Wyll, we can gain approval by saying, "Spare me the parables, I have no intention of bargaining with the likes of him." Finally, Lae'zel only offers the opportunity to lose approval when discussing the topic, but no ways to gain approval, so tread carefully. Before leaving this area, we can grab the silver pendant off the nearby skeleton. When equipped, it will allow us to cast the guidance cantrip at will. This allows us to use guidance for skill checks while speaking with Shadowheart, and can be combined with Shadowheart's enhanced ability spell for a better chance at succeeding on difficult skill checks. At this point, we can go ahead and take our third long rest, and there is a lot to discuss with our various companions at this stage. Speaking with Shadowheart, we can get some approval by making a risky play, so saving is recommended. First, we'll want to say, this could be our last night together. Then we'll need to do the Illithid Wisdom skill check to probe her thoughts. If we succeed, we should get a new option. Once this is all over, we should find a tavern and celebrate properly. And this is what will get us the boost in approval. That being said, if we fail the Illithid skill check, Shadowheart will become aware of our probing and will strongly disapprove. When speaking with Astarion, he may attempt to initiate a romance. Certain dialogue options have the chance to reveal more about Astarion's nature if we succeed at a passive insight check. It's up to you if you want to engage in this romance, just keep the discussion from earlier about how romance works in mind. With Lae'zel, she will tell us a little more about the Githyanki, but it won't get us any approval. If it hasn't already been done, we can ask Lae'zel, "Are you sure a creche is our only path to a cure?" and follow it with, "That kind of wisdom is very valuable," to earn some approval. To get some approval with Wyll, we can say something special about us, or at least about our tadpoles, when the opportunity presents itself. At this point, we can also speak with Withers and unlock the ability to recruit hirelings. These are basically generic companions that can fulfill almost any role in the party, but that serve no significance to the story. After the long rest, we'll carry out our morning preparations, and perhaps pay Auntie Ethel another visit for more elixirs of hill giant strength. Once ready, we'll head west from the Druid Grove. Following the path towards the northwest will lead us to a dying dwarf and his two companions. We can use our Illithid powers here, but it has no benefit and we have limited uses of it per day, so we're better off saving it. Eventually, we should be presented with several options. Saying, "Forget the owlbear, you're still alive, so go," will gain approval from Shadowheart, but saying, "You need to find the beast and avenge your brother," will gain approval from Lae'zel, along with extra bodies to fight the owlbear. Lae'zel approval is harder to come by, plus the extra help for the owlbear fight is very nice, so I went with the second option. Before going to the cave, we can loot the dead dwarf and either block out or accept the Mind Flayer parasite that emerges from him, and neither option will have detrimental consequences. We'll be sure to grab the shaft of a broken spear from the body, then move into the owlbear cave. We will speak with Andric near the cave entrance to get the two to head inside. Once more, we can gain some approval from Lae'zel by choosing to attack the owlbear when it approaches. Shadowheart, however, will disapprove if she is nearby. In order to get all achievements and to not be a monster, we need to make sure the owlbear cub survives the encounter and let it live after the fact. To that end, we will focus all attacks on the grown owlbear to make sure it is defeated before either of the NPC allies can kill the cub. Brenna should command the owlbear to halt on each of her turns, which will make the encounter much easier. Once again, we will let the owlbear cub live when prompted, and this will gain approval with both Gale and Shadowheart. After the fight, we can speak with the two absolute cultists and send them on their way. The head of a broken spear can be taken from the owlbear and combined with the previously acquired shaft to form the Vision of the Absolute magic spear. Near the bottom of the cave, we'll find a hidden shrine to Selûne and a magically sealed chest. It's a good idea for us to save, then jump over to the area with the statue. Moving near the southern wall should trigger a passive perception check, and succeeding will reveal a selenite prayer sheet. We can pick it up, return to the sealed chest, then read the prayer from our inventory to dispel the magic seal. Upon opening the chest, Shadowheart will begin to argue against it. If we ask why, we will be presented with the opportunity to learn a good deal more about her through an insight check. The DC is fairly high at 15, so it may take some inspiration points or safe scumming. Upon success, Shadowheart will reveal herself as a worshipper of Shar, and it's best if we just let it slide for now. After this revelation, trying to take the contents of the selenite chest will prompt a sleight of hand check to hide it from Shadowheart. Failing the check while near Shadowheart will get us disapproval, but failing it while away from her carries no repercussions. Once we've learned about Shadowheart's Shar worship, we will gain new conversation starters and the opportunity to gain a ton of approval. First, we'll pick the I want to talk about your Shar worship option, which we can follow with I have no problems with Shar worshippers if that's what concerns you. It's a super easy persuasion check that we should have no problem passing. That alone will get us some approval, but let's go for more. We will start with remind me, then fascinating, please continue. Followed with when you put it like that, it seems strangely comforting. And finally, I'd be lying if I said it didn't sound convincing. You should tell me more sometime. Next, we can say, I want to get to know you more, Shadowheart. Followed by, tell me something about yourself besides Shar, besides tadpoles. And finally, you'll have to point out night orchids to me if we ever pass them. Last but not least, we can ask, why were you in pain before? And follow it up with, is there anything I can do to help with it? All of that together should raise Shadowheart's approval of us by a total of 16 points. Next up, we'll head northwest of the Owlbear Cave to find a new furry companion. Scratch the dog will be guarding his fallen master. Either a successful perception or animal handling check will allow us to befriend the canine. We can pet him and tell him to follow us. When Scratch refuses, we can respond by holding out our hand so we can follow our scent to camp later, and doing this is necessary for us to get multiple achievements later on. From there, we can jump across the riverbed to the north to go find Karlach, our final recruitable companion for Act 1. We'll find her up along the river east from where we crossed over. Along the way, we can grab the Toll Collector's Key. We'll play nice and agree to team up with Karlach in order to fight the individuals that are hunting for her. They are pretty tough though, and it's best if we don't face them just yet. Given that our party is full, Karlach will head to our camp instead, and now is a good time to show how we can turn Karlach into the strongest character in the game. I had a hard time picking between switching out Gale or Lae'zel for Karlach, and ultimately switched out Lae'zel. This is because in the near future, we are going to take many actions that Lae'zel will either disapprove of or be indifferent to. Meanwhile, we will gain a lot of approval with Gale by keeping him in the party. To unlock Karlach's true potential, we will need to change her class over to Monk through Withers. For ability points, we will plan to keep Karlach juiced up with giant strength elixirs each day. Because of that, she doesn't need any points in strength. We can then redistribute the rest of her points so that she has 16 in dexterity, 15 in constitution, and 17 in wisdom. This may seem somewhat random or unoptimized, but the reasoning behind this distribution will become clear as we progress. All that's left is to level Karlach up and take the Way of the Fist subclass at level 3. The reason why Karlach is so strong as a monk is because of a somewhat hidden interaction between soul coins and unarmed strikes. When Karlach uses a soul coin, she gains the Infernal Fury buff until the next long rest. Even though it's not mentioned in the description, this buff gives Karlach's unarmed attacks an additional 2d4 fire damage. Combined with the effects from an Elixir of Hill Giant Strength, Karlach's unarmed strikes deal a whopping 8 to 19 damage, and it's going to increase significantly at level 4. Leaving the camp, we're going to backtrack a little bit, jumping back across the river. Karlach will eventually confront us about not going to fight the people hunting her, but we can just reassure her that we will go do it. Moving on, we'll head south towards the Blighted Village. Along the way, we'll find an exsanguinated boar. A successful medicine check here will reveal that the boar was likely killed by a vampire. There are several bodies to scavenge for supplies near the Blighted Village's entrance, and we will want to save before heading west into the village. Upon entry, we will be ambushed by a pack of goblins. To talk our way out of the fight, we can say there will be no skewering happening here, now let me pass. This will need to be followed by a successful speech check, and using either persuasion or intimidation will increase approval with both Shadowheart and Gale. Upon our arrival at the Blighted Village, we can either lockpick or destroy the nearby chest to get the Haste Helm, which provides the wearer with a substantial boost in movement speed at the start of a combat encounter. There are several important things to do in the Blighted Village, getting 2 easily missed achievements among them. All of that and more will be covered in part 3 of this series. For that and more, you can head over to my channel. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me in the comments where I'll do my best to help. And if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Monday and a great week. And as always, thanks for watching.